Good morning. This video is about root head carving. The one on the right is by a famous wood carver by the name of Ernie Mills, who's 90 years old, and he carves with a hatchet. So I'm both a hand and power tool carver, and I'm going to try traditional methods of carving this time, like Ernie Mills, who carves with a hatchet. And these are root head decoys, so all the wood comes from roots of trees. This is oak, which Ernie Mills did. The body is cypress, and these two are cedar, and I have a piece of pine heart too. So I don't usually carve with a hatchet. I do use drawknives, and this is a drawknife that my grandfather made. I forged my own tools too. I'll demonstrate the difference between maybe today's new Flexcut drawknife with the older tools, but the old steel of like Boy Scout knives and hatchets, actually hatchets, are really good. So the old steel is better than the new steel in general. So this is my old Boy Scout knife actually, and it's pretty sharp. It's not ultra sharp. I wish it was sharper, but I'm gonna give it a try, and I'll be careful, demonstrate safety, and I hope you learn something, as I'm gonna learn something too. I'm gonna start off by putting some gloves on. I nicked my hand the other day just with a drawknife. It's always good to wear gloves, and actually I was wearing a glove, but it had a hole right in the thumb, and sure enough, when I was using it, that's where the drawknife hit, the end of the drawknife. And I was using, I didn't have a piece of vise, which I'd recommend up there with carving with the drawknife, because it was really a two-handed procedure, and I was using it with one hand, which is a technique, but I'm going to try to demonstrate safety techniques. By the way, this drawknife is made from an old rasp. I don't know if you can see that detail. Okay, it's hand forged, and the handles are turned wood. My grandfather made it. So I like to honor my ancestors, honor Ernie Mills, who's one of the pioneers of decoy carving, one of the few full-time decoy carvers in Georgia. He's originally from Delaware, so he has that traditional Delaware style. He does a lot of ducks and waterfowl, but I've collected some of his shorebirds, and maybe one day I'll show you some of the decoys he's carved that I've collected as well. So we're going to start off with just, how you find the wood. I have a video on finding wood and collecting it on my YouTube channel. So I just look at pieces from roots of trees in the forest, along beaches, could be lakes, creeks, oceans, and then I'll clean the wood up with wire brush and dust it off, and let the wood cure for a while, making sure it is dried out and free of insects. So we're going to look at this pine heart and take a look at it. See what kind of wood how this wood carves here. I'm just going to try to chip away a little bit. I usually use power tools on this, but I'm trying to go with the grain. I think I'll have to carve on the bench here. Yeah, it actually carves pretty well, if you can see that. Okay. I'm just removing some of the loose debris here. This definitely looks like a bird, and I'm doing large birds, unlike Ernie Mills. These are, well, you can take a guess. You can look at my new videos. These are herons, great blue herons. This one's more abstract. I got to carve the bill right, but this one I've cut out, and that's red cedar. And what I will do is I'll try to simplify the form. So I'll use a handsaw. Okay. And it's got this extraneous piece here that does not need to be there, although it forms the neck of the heron, so I don't want to remove that piece. I'm just going to cut it up here. Okay, so much for my traditional hand tools. This is the Japanese gomboy, it's made in Japan. I've actually broken the tip off it, but it still works really well. But they're traditional saws that work fine. I just don't own any, and I like the Japanese saws and knives as well. Okay, so I cut that off, and this end grain is going to be a little challenging to carve. I'll probably just use power tools on it, but I will demonstrate with draw knives and how to get the shape of the bill here. First, let me try with the axe, just for the fun of it. Make sure this is on tight. Make sure nothing happens to Ernie's bird. I'm going to carve away from myself. Okay, cedar's pretty soft, and the way this is rigged up, it's not carving that great, so I'll switch to the draw knife. Again, using the gloves because I did cut myself the other day. Do be careful. And this is pretty sharp. Now, I could obviously do this with power tools much faster. Let's try with a new draw knife by Flexcut Tools and see what that does. And it's already slicing so much better. I'm even going right through a knot. Okay, you can use it one hand like this, but you be really careful to follow through because you can hit your hand. I've got a glove on, I can do that and hold it as well, but two hands is the preferred method here. Look at that beautiful grain. Got more knots in this piece. So these pieces came from big pieces of wood, long pieces of wood. Let's try this one here. This vise comes in handy. Although it's not attached to my table, which would be better. That way it wouldn't move as much. And I wouldn't waste my energy as much. So this one will carve the bill as well. Pretty tight. I don't want to break the wood though. My vise kind of wants to. Holding it because the piece, I don't want to break the neck of the wood in the vise, and that is a consideration because the cedar can be kind of fragile. But this is generally a pretty safe technique. Usually you carve away from yourself. With this draw knife, I'm stopping here and I'm just holding it by the neck and trying to shape it. Now this is working great. So you can see, I mean, you can use old tools if you want, but the new tools, here's a miniature draw knife by Flexcut Tools. The new tools just work so well. Especially they're super sharp. They stay sharp longer than the old steel. And Flexcut's developed this kind of flex in the knives, hence the name, in the blades itself. So I'm just smoothing this wood out, trying to get it to the shape of a bill, because herons stab their prey like this. So I don't want to be the prey. So I got to be careful of this bill here. I got two dangerous things: my knives and the bill is going to be dangerous as I sharpen it. But this is carving so well. It's so enjoyable to carve with hand tools. And this red cedar, it smells good. Now some people are allergic to red cedar, and that's just another reason to carve with hand tools. Because power tools, you can be allergic to the dust. One way to find out is take some of that dust and put it under your armpit, and then if you break out, if you see some redness or like a rash, usually it means you're allergic to the wood. So you can do that with any wood. And I carve with both hand and power tools. But I'm enjoying this because it's a nice, cool summer morning, It's usually been hot and humid, but this is after a hurricane, and it kind of cleared out some of that humidity, and it brought some cool temperatures. So I'm enjoying the nice morning out here. Other thing that's nice about hand tools is you don't have a huge mess with the power dust getting on you, and it's just an enjoyable process. Although it is slower, you know, you also got to make sure you go with the grain of the wood. That's generally going away from the material, because if you go against the grain, I am going to go this way. I'm going to split this wood, and that will be the end of the bill. And that takes a little experience trying to know which way the grain's going. Okay, go to the underside of the bill. So if I do it this way, see it's starting to split there, so I back away and I gotta go this way towards me. It's moving through the vise a little bit, so I gotta go this way. And so I'm slicing through the wood with the draw knife. You're drawing it towards you. You can also push away, but usually draw knives are better. And you notice the different handles and shapes. It's just what you like, okay, and how you can move through the wood. So using the draw knife is a traditional technique of wood carving, and that's what I want to kind of show here. Although I'm using new tools by Flexcut Tools, and they're made in the USA, and I really like the company's service and their tools, the quality. I think you will too. So let's look at something else now. I like to go from different materials. I like to look at my work. I know we got some sun coming out, so I want to make sure you're seeing everything. Yeah, let me switch the camera around a little bit so you can see. Oh, I'm fixing my mountain bike here. Broke a cable in it. But let's take a look here in some better light here. There's the heron head when I'm carving, and I'm just trying to get this bill look more like it's like a heron. It's a very abstract on this side, but if you get the bill the right shape and you get the eye the right distance, see, I drew it on in blue. Now I'm actually going to carve that eye and show you how I do that. I just have a glove in my left hand, my non-carving hand, okay, and I'm going to carve the outside corners of this eyeball. I've demonstrated with power tools how I do this. But I'm just demonstrating more traditional ways with hand tools. This is a V tool by Flexcut. It's actually an interchangeable handle, I believe, so I can take this off and do different blades. So that's really cost effective, and it's good for storing your tools. You don't have tons of tools to choose from, although I do. I've got lots of tools and I love them all. So root heads don't have to have much detail like this one, or you can go ahead and put some detail in. So I'm going to separate the upper and lower mandible here with this V tool. Let me get some better light so you can see the detail. Okay, there we go. So that's what I've done so far. So now the sun's hitting it real good. And I'm using this V tool and I'm carving, again, with the grain, away from the material. And I'm just putting a little bit of detail in, separating that upper and lower mandible. That's how the bird opens its mouth. Okay, again, very sharp tool. You can see that step now between the two things. It also has a tuft underneath its lower mandible, feathers. And I think I will demonstrate with the draw knife again, because it slices this cedar really well. Here's the close-up of Ernie Mills burden oak, and then here's the cedar piece I'm working on. Okay, see, I can get some pretty good slivers here with this draw knife. It's working quite well, and I don't know how Ernie carves this with a hatchet. He is very, very good, and doing it so long, full time, he's developed a lot of skill. He's refined the work really well, capturing the essence of the species, and that's what I try to do with my work. Try to do the essential lines. He doesn't capture that much detail with this. It's just the essential lines and silhouette of the bird which count. So here it's coming along here. It looks like a heron. You see the eye I put in there. Okay. I want to smooth out more of the wood so it's all carved. You can see a lot of it is just kind of natural. The weathered gray, I kind of like that, but the wood's so beautiful. I'm gonna show some of that wood off. So see how I had to switch the bird around to go with the grain here. So it's been a while since I've done hand tool carving instruction. I used to teach wood sculpture and mountain gouge carving. At Kennesaw State University, as well as I taught seminars at schools like the John C. Campbell Folk School, and I taught wood carving classes. I've also had a number of classes. I've had great instructors like Vic Hood, who demonstrated just hand tool carving. Excellent hand tool carver. Okay, go to this side a little bit. So these are root head decoys. Okay, so I got to find a base for this big bird, and that's going to be fun to find because this is life size, and great blue herons stand about 4 feet tall. And actually, my ancestor William Bartram was the first to describe the great blue heron, first artist / naturalist to describe it in North America. That was during the 18th century. He was a famous botanist. He and his father John Bartram, and I wrote my thesis, getting my master's degree in sculpture, about Bartram. So you can look at more herons I've done on my website, as well as this page on my YouTube channel. You can see how I've collect the wood and how I carve with both the hand and power tools, how I paint my herons, how I finish. I just demonstrated a cattail. I don't think I posted it yet, but it's on Instagram, and I will post it, make a combination video on my YouTube channel. I also have videos on my website at Wilson Wildlife Sculpture, and they're very comprehensive. How to carve a flower, very realistic magnolia flower, and how to carve a bobwhite quail, as well as very realistic bobwhite quail, as well as texturing every feather and making it super soft, and then finally painting it. Another video on painting it to produce super soft, realistic looking feathers. So those are 4 videos that are available on my website, and they have free bonuses like free instruction, private lessons with me, as well as an oil painting video on the last video of the bobwhite quail. So you can learn from me at Wilson Wildlife Sculpture. I appreciate you watching these videos, these free videos on YouTube. Thanks a lot for your support and just watching these videos, liking, and I would appreciate you subscribing so I can get my numbers back up there on my channel. So thanks again. Have a great day.